Good people, welcome to the Case Awards from Hardware Canucks. I love doing these videos in the end of the year just so we can revisit all the reviews, check out the trends, and man, we saw an overpopulation of dual chamber designs because everyone jumped on that trend. But my, case of the year is not a fish tank. Or is it? You might not agree with all the picks, but keyboard warrior away anyway. So let's start with the first category of the best comeback. And this one easily goes to Antec. Who? So they made the Performance 1 FD, and after years of, subpar products, they come out with this excellent price point, excellent airflow, 3 or 4 140mm fans that are 30mm sticks. So this really nice inclusion of high performance being included not just on the frame level but on the fan level as well. The entire frame has a unique visual with a cool ventilation pattern, dual TGs, little covers in the back to hide your cables that can be removable if you don't want them. We have this little screen at the top that shows CPU and GPU temperatures, although a little bit of a gimmick and a bit more useless because the software isn't super powerful. But I love the removable top bracket for easy installation on the interior. This is a perfect case for airflow or an AIO with dual 360 supports at the same time. They also came out with a white model that looks absolutely gorgeous with that front gray grille, and I'm stoked to see what Antec has in store for 2024. There's no runner-up in this category, so let's move on to the best value category instead. Starting with Montec Air 903, so you get a lot of case for a little money, especially on the max side, because you get 4 fans and they're high performance fans. And it wasn't long ago we were hoping for this to become the standard budget sort of enclosure, and Montec did it without sacrificing your wallet and without giving us a garbage product. My runner-up is the Asus Prime AP201. It's a micro ATX enclosure, but it's really compact. It's just the right amount of handsome and right amount of see-through ventilation for RGB to peek through. It is super affordable, high quality, easy installation all around, and if you can find a suitable micro ATX motherboard for your needs, this is definitely a must recommendation to go in. It can even support massive GPUs and a 360 at the top. So basically a no compromise compact enclosure. I wish there were more like it, and a fun tidbit that we found out at Computex is that Antec is the OEM producer for this enclosure. Same thing with Johnsbow, and just waiting for Antec to release their version of the 201. My next category is simple, just gorgeous. I mean, cases have long moved up from the floor to your desk or to a pedestal, but still it becomes part of your space, something you want to showcase, and so I feel like this new category makes sense today. Let's start with a Fractal Design Terra. I mean, the walnut, the beautiful aluminum, everything about the enclosure in terms of design cohesion, beautiful organic lines, and it's just a gorgeous case inside and out. We have this movable spine on the interior to expand your GPU section or allow for more clearance for your CPU tower. It's got some limitations in terms of hardware support, like you cannot do a 240 AIO, but I know at least 4 people who main the Terra or use it as their side PC, and everyone's happy about it. It is a very rewarding experience that you can actually buy, unlike many of these niche ITX really super high-end expensive cases that you cannot buy anywhere. The Phanteks NV5 is next, and man, for $99 mid-tower, it's a crime for it to look this good. I'm currently using it as my main gaming tower because I love it so much, not just from the visual point of view, but the interior is just like all-encompassing. Everything fits my largest graphics card, the 360 at the top, and there's plenty of room to spare. But I love all the sharp lines, the dark TG, the power supply shroud illumination that blends perfectly with all other Phanteks accessories. This triangular space at the bottom grew on me. I know I said in a review that I wasn't vibing with so much, but it is a 120mm fan chassis only, so that's probably the only drawback. And then we have the Hyte Y70. So this one's interesting because it launched right at the beginning of 2023, and it actually started a few really interesting case trends that we saw later on, like so this seamless corner of the glass without the frame there, revealing everything on the interior. It's also kind of a mid-tower in disguise of a dual chamber because it's slightly wider. But Hyte, man, they do design consistency so well, both on the angular side, in terms of the curvature and everything on the interior, that all blends beautifully together. They're also the only brand brave enough to embrace vertical GPU installation as your primary installation of your graphics card, because the horizontal PCI slots are half height, so you cannot actually install the graphics card directly into your motherboard, which for troubleshooting can be an issue, but man, that luxury riser cable card is gorgeous. And it's also a really cool incentive to showcase your GPU. And speaking of luxury and showcase, let's hear our message from today's video sponsor. I mean, this new fan is something else, with regular and reverse models available to create that clean look without compromising the airflow direction. Like these bottom fans are set to intake but look like the rest of the fans on the enclosure. It's brilliant. They cleverly daisy chain with snap-on bridges, and all these bits cover up the uglies, so you never have to worry about the looks or the cable management, as it's just one cable. This is what the premium Dirge 30mm performance fan should look like, the new Phanteks D30. Welcome back. Let's talk about my favorite dual chamber cases, or the fish tanks. Starting with Lian O11 Vision, if you love the peel, you're gonna love this. I would say it's different enough from previous O11s while still delivering on new things. So removable motherboard tray, having two positions for the motherboard, high and low. We have dual 120mm exhaust fans that can house a 240 radiator in the back, which is awesome. Cable management on this enclosure is by far one of my favorite on any case ever. We have long rubber grommets beside the motherboard. We have this very clever bracket at the back that is on a rail system that can rotate if you need it, but also the power supply bracket is extended to give you more clearance on the interior, but there's also little cable tie points there. The case is just as functional for like high performance builds as it is focused on presentation. I love that balanced approach. Plus, in my airflow testing, it performs identically to the O11D Evo. So there you go. The Montech King 95 is pretty cool. The curved glass is definitely unique. It's really easy to work in. All the panels just snap off. Nothing requires tools. We have the swivel bracket at the front that allows an airflow conversion to go from a visual case to an airflow case with this metal mesh that is already included as part of your kit. The price is excellent. The only thing is that don't trust everything you see on their website, you know, the car rolling over the glass and it maintaining its rigidity, because glass is strong, but glass breaks. The NZXT H9 Flow is next. I love the simplicity behind this case. If you don't want any complications while still want a roomy dual chamber, this is a winner. Think of it as a less complicated sibling to the O11 series, where you cannot invert the motherboard, you cannot reposition the I/O, but it's actually the simplicity of the case that makes me want to work with it more. For my next category, let's talk coolest features on the case. The Hyte Y70 Touch. Man, very expensive, but such a unique way to integrate your enclosure into this like touch interface, because of that vertical touch screen that you can interact with is going to be right in reach because it's on the corner. The APNX C1 introduced me to something I didn't know I wanted: gradients on case color. Especially this one looks absolutely gorgeous with the light blue hue shifting to purples depending on light intensity and the viewing angle. Like, wow, it's so pretty. I hope more companies see this and bring more color options and gradients into case design in 2024. In-win mod-free is a very unique way to think about the PC. So if you want your power supply at the top, no problem. If you want it on the front, no problem at all. Everything is modular and actually works. The only sort of downside is that because the modules are standalone, once you put them together, it becomes a little bulky than your regular enclosure, but still the modularity aspect is super exciting. I can't wait to see this whole concept evolve and grow, because they are committed to tooling it, and in-win, I can't wait for the next revision. The Phanteks NV7 of course has to be in here, because they've taken something so mundane like a fan bracket at the bottom. So with it you can install fans that are standard flat or flip the bracket, and now the fans are slightly curved facing you, revealing the beautiful fans. And this corresponded to them launching their D30 fans as well with the reversed fan blades, so that makes sense if you were trying to showcase your products together. I also love the brackets beside the motherboard that hide the cables, and the bracket on the right side of the motherboard can be rotated for eATX extension. brilliant. The Thermaltake CTE C750, that's the case we worked with, centralized thermal efficiency. Basically, if you're looking for an overkill of airflow, of brute forcing everything towards your components, this is the case to get. The case has a good foundation to explore water cooling ideas. Everything is protected with fine dust filters. You can mount 14 140mm fans. So yes, you'll be spending more money on cooling than the case itself. So just be aware, which leads us into the losers category. And it's not that big this year, but let's start with the Corsair 2000D. It's got disappointing build quality, horrible GPU cooling and clearances. They even had misleading information for CPU tower clearances at launch, which was later corrected after we published our review. They only made this case to push their 360 AIOs. For $120, this case is way too expensive. For $160 for the RGB edition is just big no. The only good thing this case is good for is a stepping stone into the next iteration that hopefully will resolve a lot of the issues with this model. And then we have the Den case C4SFX V1. It pains me to put it in the losers category because the case is a winner from all fronts. Beautiful design, excellent cooling, awesome hardware compatibility, but it was such a limited run despite this being Dan's largest order to date. They sold out way too fast, and despite the massive outcry from the community for wanting more V1 editions, Dan confirmed he's working on the V2 right now, and that's coming later, but still, the V1 is one of my favorite ITX cases and experiences of all time, and it's just really unfortunate that more people cannot explore that whole C4SFX category, which is a perfect segue into something that is actually available and I can wholeheartedly recommend you buy. My case of the year is the NZXT H6 Flow. This one may be a surprise to you all, but I love NZXT's initiative here because it is so excellently priced at $109 for the non-RGB model. Don't even think about the RGB model, even though it's only $20 more. But you still get 3 fans. It is widely available, and let's say if Corsair made it, it would be twice the price. If Fantix made it, it would have no fans. I'm sure Liam Lee's cooking something up with the whole angular front intake, because that is the main highlight of the H6 Flow. And NZXT did it first. Basically, this is a unique way to deliver fresh airflow without compromising on the visuals, but also minimizing the true width of the enclosure from a visual point of view. The fans are nicely hidden and they're almost like part of the frame, so that's good because you don't need to worry about matching the rest of your cooling hardware to the case fans for both editions, the black or the white. Smart. And this whole angular intake is not a gimmick because performance is excellent on the CPU and the GPU as well. Unlike on the traditional dual chamber where the airflow is very 90 degrees for the side intake, here the 45 degree means it acts as both your intake and also it pushes air out as exhaust from the back. I love the visual lines. It's a very NZXT enclosure without introducing any visual clutter. The metal mesh ventilation is decent, like you blow through it and you can feel air moving on the other side. And them being the first to market with this sort of airflow reconfiguration at the front, I guarantee you we'll see more of that in next year, which is a good thing. But just so we're clear, NZXT, you're not off the hook. I'm still pissed off that the bottom fans make no difference in cooling and can only support 140mm fans. There's no fan splitter included for the 3 fans, which is kind of annoying. Like, of course, I'm not expecting a hub to be included on a 109 enclosure, but still no fan splitter. Hopefully you have enough fan headers on your motherboard. There are no rubber grommets beside the motherboard where the cables exit, and it's the primary location where your eyes go, so make sure to clean up those cables properly. But that should have been NZXT's job to introduce some sort of bracket there so it's not right in your face. And if you're installing a rad and set of fans at the top, make sure it's a standard size fan and a radiator because anything thicker will not fit. And that one pisses me off. It's like NZXT did not get the memo about the T30s, the D30s, the P28s. Fans are getting thicker. That's clearly the trend, but not the trend the case is designed for. But I'd love to hear your contribution to this list. Happy holidays, spend responsibly. I'll talk to you in the next video. And hopefully next year, we'll have physical awards that companies can collect.